that you are all here. I'm so glad that you're all here joining us today. My name is Haley, and I am excited that we have author Linda Grace Smith here with us to read to us from her book, One Too Many. So this is a wonderful book, and we are celebrating World Children's Day. And Linda will tell us a little bit more about that and how her book connects to that. So without further ado, we are going to jump right in to having Linda tell us her story. Linda.
Well, good morning, everyone. I hope you're settling into your classrooms and getting your computers working and all that fun stuff. And I am just honored that I get the chance to read my book as well as tell you a little bit about why I wrote it. So I'm not going to talk too much before, but we're going to do a few little things before we begin. And the main idea of my book, and this is really what I want you to remember, is that every child is valuable and every child is powerful. Okay, I'm going to say that again, and maybe you can repeat it with me. Every child is valuable and every child is powerful. So with that in mind, I was thinking about how valuable and how powerful children are. I was wondering what difference children make in the world. And World Children's Day is a recognition that children are amazing and they need grown-ups to take really good care of them. Now, as we begin, I'd like you to think about your morning today. I'd like you to think about what you were up to. So right now, get your hands ready. If you, give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up if you woke up inside a house this morning. Can I see your hands? Okay, I have some thumbs up. You had shelter over your head if you woke up in a house today. Can you show me shelter? You had shelter today. Good news. Give me a thumbs up if you flushed a toilet today. Did anybody flush a toilet today? Oh, I did. I had running water that came into my house. Now go like this. Well, we're not drinking that water, but go like this. Go, 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 go. If you had access to clean water today. Yeah, thank you. Next, grab your shirt here. Give me a thumbs up if you got dressed today. You have some clothes to wear? Phew. Okay, look at you. Nice. Wearing your nice sweaters, keeping warm as our weather gets cooler around here. So we've had our shelter, we've had some water, we have clothes to wear. Wonderful. Now give me a thumbs up if you're feeling strong and healthy today. Yeah, okay. Thumbs up, you're feeling strong and healthy. Let's see those muscles. Whoa, and to keep you strong and healthy, you would need access to medical care. You know, if you feel sick or need some medicine to get what you need. So thumbs up, wonderful. Next, give me a thumbs up if you went to school today. You might be saying, wait a second, of course we're at school. I can see some of you in your classrooms and others of you learning at home with your headsets on by the computer. Thumbs up. That means you have access to, and we'll flip open our books, education. Yeah, education means you have the opportunity to learn and grow and play. You have the opportunity to you have the opportunity to learn new things. So we've been reading our books. We were drinking water today, shelter. What are some other things that you needed today? Give me a thumbs up if you had something to eat this morning. Yeah, look at all those thumbs. Yeah, show me that you've been eating by kind of holding your hand out like a plate and scooping it up there. Great. Now, as I Okay. So we've got food, we've got water. What else finally are we needing here? Oh, give me a thumbs up if you feel safe where you are right now. Are there any big dogs around? Anybody dangerous? Anything that might threaten your safety? You know, so you might feel here and there, sometimes you might be a little bit afraid, but in general, many of you are feeling safe. If you feel safe, you can go like this. Deep breaths. We can relax. And finally, give a thumbs up if you belong somewhere. You have some friends and family that are near you. You have people that are taking care of you. And give yourself a big hug. Wonderful. I'm going to share my screen with you now as we get into talking about our story today. And here's our story, One Too Many. And I talk in it about these basic human needs, things that are so important that if we didn't have them, well, it would be wrong. It's our right to have them. So I just talked about a whole bunch of them. And as I say the word, I'd like you to see if you can remember the action that we did for that word. Are you ready? Okay, I'm gonna show you and then we'll practice as well. Ready? Shelter. Can you say shelter and put your hands above your head? Clothing. Can you grab your shirt? Healthcare. Feeling strong. Food. You're eating. Water. Go, 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 go. Education. Reading your book. Safety. Deep breath. And belonging. We recognize that these are important for every child because every child is valuable. Every child has the right to these things, to these resources. Now, for some of us who live in southern British Columbia, we know that because of recent floods, some people have not had the shelter, the clothing, the food or water that they need and aren't feeling safe right now. And that's a new situation in our province. But across the world, there's also people in all sorts of communities that struggle to find shelter, clothing, and healthcare all year round. So in our world, there's a lot of need, but even millions, thousands of people daily who are looking to make sure that they have their basic needs taken care of. And what we want to say is, even though lots of people may need these things, even if everybody was taken care of and one person didn't have what they needed today, that would be one too many because everyone is valuable and we wouldn't want anyone to be without what they need. For example, in some communities in our area today that people had to move from their houses because of the floods, we wouldn't say, oh, well, I guess you don't need shelter anymore. No, we'd say you have a right to shelter. We'll make sure you have somewhere to stay and we'll work together until you can have somewhere, again, that's your own. And so we work and work together because we're also powerful. As children, you're powerful too, because if you see someone in need, maybe you could make a difference. So with that in mind, I'm going to jump into reading my book. It's called One Too Many. And as I read it, I would love for you to show me the action that connects because each page has an action that goes with it. Do you think you can try that? All right. It begins with a dedication. I have 3 sons. I'm a teacher and a mom. And my sons are Josiah, Caleb, and Reuben. And I made this book for them, for Jojo, KB, and Rue. But I also made this book for children like you, and I'm so glad to read it to you today. No one is free if even one is oppressed and has basic rights that are left unaddressed. As long as there's one who hasn't a floor, a roof, and 4 walls with a window and door, there's one too many. I see some actions. Is someone near you doing this with their hands? Yes. In this picture, we see that as long as there's one who doesn't have shelter, that would be one too many. And there's something special about the pictures. These dotted lines show what is missing. As long as there's one with no jammies to wear, no soap for her bath, no brush for her hair, there's one too many. Oh, are some of you grabbing your shirts for clothing? Yeah, this child doesn't have the clothing that she needs. No bubbles in her bath, no clothes on her hanger here. Oh. As long as there's one who is sick and in pain there and hasn't the treatment to get well again, there's one too many. Oh yeah, healthcare. This child needs to feel strong and healthy, but right now he's feeling sick. He needs access to medicine, maybe a doctor or a nurse to take care of him. So we say healthcare, healthcare. As long as there's one without any food, no veggies or bread, no meat to be stewed, there's one too many. Here we are, needing some food on our tables, in our stores, growing in our fields. As long as there's one with no water nearby, and his land and his garden and well are all dry, there's one too many. This is the first one we were talking about earlier, I think. Water, or one of the first ones. Water, drink it up. We need it to flush our toilets. We need it to cook our food. We need to wash our dishes and our clothes. We need it to water our plants. I'm sure you can think of all sorts of other ways we need water. Water is vital for life on earth. As long as there's one who's forbidden from school, but instead has to work with a hard, heavy tool, there's one too many. Do you remember this one? Education. This child doesn't have the opportunity to go to school. And that's not just because she doesn't want to, but because instead her family needs her to work to make money. And she has harsh jobs that she has to do all day long. Sometimes we don't feel like going to school. We're tired, grumpy, but the opportunity to learn and grow is such a gift, and education is a right for every child. As long as there's one who often gets hurt, mistreated and teased, pushed down in the dirt, there's one too many. Safety. This child here is feeling afraid, and there's a shadow over her. Can you see that? And she's wondering if there's anyone who will protect her from what she needs, from what she's afraid of. And what she needs is someone near her. So deep breath and say, safety. We have the right to feel safe from conflict, from disasters, and we need people to come alongside us when we're children and help comfort us. As long as there's one who is only alone, no friends and no family, he's never been known, there's one too many. Belonging, give yourself that hug. Everyone deserves and has the right to belong to a family, to belong to a country, to belong to the world. Every child is valuable. Every child is powerful. And here is where the story turns around. I just recognized 8 basic rights, 8 basic needs that children have and all people have. But something powerful can happen when we look to others instead of only considering our own needs and wonder what difference we can make. But when one turns toward instead of away, the math turns around in a powerful way. As long as there's one who welcomes a guest with a warm place to sit and a safe place to rest, 1 turns to 2. Do you recognize this guy? You might have seen him before with a box on his head, and now he's indoor because someone provided shelter to him. Even right now in our own area, there are people who are seeking shelter and others who are welcoming them in their homes and community centers. And across the world, this happens too. As long as there's one with a nice second pair who sees that they're needed and chooses to share, 2 turns to 3. You see, you might have extras, dry clothes, clean clothes that don't fit you anymore. When you pass them on to someone else, they have what they need, and you've made a difference. As long as there's one who hears a friend's cough and waits for the nurse till the fever cools off, 3 turns to 4. Oh, let's see your healthcare action. A nurse has come and this child has the healthcare that he needs. Maybe he's going to get some medicine and some rest. Hey, do you hear that dog barking? I think it's mine. Hold on a second. Sorry about that. My pup must have heard my voice and wondered what I was up to in here. So here we have our healthcare. As long as there's one who offers a dish and not only gives, but then teaches to fish, 4 turns to 5. 4 turns to 5. I love this one because it goes beyond simply giving someone some food. You know, you might have an extra granola bar and share it with a friend. But this is bigger because sometimes we need to figure out how to help people find systems for bringing food to their own tables. And so here, to teach someone to fish means that every day they can have fish because they know how to get it themselves. Of course, fish might not be your favorite food, but we look at the whole picture to see how can we make sure that everyone has access to the food they need and can make sure they can also get it for themselves together. As long as there's one who finds water to drink and then pipes a path from the source to the sink, 5 turns to 6. Oh, I see some of you got your water bottles out. Go, 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 go. Here we have the right to water and access to clean water. It's transformative. Some time ago, I got to travel to a place in the world that created wells and access to water for communities. And I was amazed by how the community had been transformed. And of course, we know too, when we turn on our tap and we can have clean, fresh water, well, how amazing that is. And we don't want to take that for granted or say, oh, of course it's like that, because sometimes things change and we don't have that. Oopsie-daisy, there we go. As long as there's one who opens the way to read and to write, to learn and to play, 6 turns to 7. Do you see how the community is growing? Now they're at school and they're learning and growing. Let's see your access to education. Oh yeah, reading books, writing, listening, speaking, thinking. It's all so good. And this child before who had to work with a hard, heavy tool, well, she's been handed a book so she can learn to read and write and learn and grow. As long as there's one who steps in and defends and bravely ensures that the cruelty ends, 7 turns to 8. Oh yeah, I see those fingers. Let's hear your deep breaths. Before our little child here was alone. Now she's surrounded by those who are taking care of her. She doesn't need to be afraid anymore of the bully or someone trying to harm her. Everyone has the right to safety and security of their person. And we need to ensure that that happens. As long as there's one with a heart that is able to welcome the lonely with a place at the table, 8 turns to 9. There they are. And have you noticed that at the table, this boy who was before alone now is surrounded by friends, and they all belong. If you look carefully, you might see that there's some other basic needs that are taken care of here at this table. Shelter, clothing, healthy healthcare, food and water, education, maybe they're learning from each other, and safety and belonging all in one. And when we take care of people, when we make sure our human rights to these things are met, then it's like they all build each other up, and it grows and grows and grows. Because once a child has what they need, they can turn around and help others, and they can turn around and help others, and it spreads. When 1 turns to 2 and 3 turns to 4, the load is not held by just 1 anymore. They're partying, they can flourish and enjoy, because it only takes 1 who addresses a need until one by one, everyone has been freed. And that's the end of the story. Yay! And so my encouragement to you is this. Sometimes it seems overwhelming. There are a lot of needs in the world, and there is a lot of people and a lot of children who even today don't have their basic rights met. But that doesn't mean we give up, because every person is valuable and every person is powerful. You can say, like this person, I am only one, but I am one. I can't do everything, but I can do something. I will not let what I cannot do interfere with what I can do. So think, maybe there's something you can do today. And if we all do it, we'll make a big difference. So I'll pass it back over to Miss Lagasse, and thank you for listening and hearing my story today.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Linda, for sharing your story and telling us about all the different ideas or all the different rights that children have. And I think sometimes as kids, we think that we can't, well, I guess I'm not a kid anymore, so it's not really a we, but as kids, you probably think that you can't make a difference, that you can't do things to help others. But we are going to talk about some ideas later on of things that we can do to make a difference in other people, in the lives of other people. What we're going to do in just a moment is we are going to do a really quick brain break activity. But before we do that, and then we're going to come back for Q&A time with Linda. But before we do that, I wanted to show you one way that you can make a difference in the lives of children around the world. So you remember that one of the things in Linda's story was about having access to education, right? That as long as there's one who opens the way to read and to write, to learn and to play, then 6 turns to 7. So I'm going to show you one way that you can help other kids around the world learn to read. So the cool thing about Simbi, because this event is hosted by Simbi, and one of the really cool things is that when you read on Simbi, you can that your voice is being used to help kids around the world learn to read. So I'm going to play this quick video for you, and then I will show you something else. Here we go. Maybe. Give me a thumbs up if you can see the screen.
An adventure where you can explore exciting worlds. Power up your reading skills. Welcome to your Simbi journey. Here, you'll choose your Symbian and begin a quest unlike anything you've seen before. As you read, you'll learn exciting rewards along the way, unlocking new Symbians as you advance on your journey. Find amazing books to read, and take on the role of a storyteller to help thousands of people around the world become better readers. Get started on your Simbi journey today at simbi.io and make reading meaningful.
Awesome. So that is a really quick introduction to Simbi, but Linda's book here is on Simbi. So you can go on Simbi and you can listen to Linda read her book again. Because when you read on Simbi, you can either read along here, or you can narrate the book. So you can use your voice to narrate the book, and then kids all around the world can listen to you read. And that is one thing that you can do as a kid here in Canada. That's one thing that you can do to make a difference to help provide education to kids around the world. So that is something that's really neat. And that's something that we can look more at another time and later. And I recommend you check it out because it is so cool. You can listen to Linda's voice and you can also record your own. So we are going to take a quick brain break to get up and move. How many of you are starting to feel a little wiggly squiggly? A few of you? All right, I get a little wiggly squiggly when I have to sit for too long. So we are going to do a quick game of Would You Rather. Here's how this works. And you have to promise me and your teachers or parents, whoever is your grown-ups right now, that when we are done, you will close your mouth, take a deep breath, have a seat, and be ready to go again. Can we do that? Will you be ready to go again if we take a really quick movement break? Give me a thumbs up if you understand that after we're done, you're going to stop and be quiet. Good. Okay. So here's how it's going to work. I'm going to say a question. It's a would you rather question. And if you would rather do one of the things, you will do 5 toe touches or 5 jumping jacks. So here's the first one. Would you rather, okay, I'm going to say it. You're going to lock in your choice and then I'll count to 5 and you'll do it. All right. You may stand up if you are able. Make sure that you are not going to whack somebody with your hands because that wouldn't help with this. All right. So the first question is, would you rather, and this one is for jumping jacks. Would you rather do all of the laundry for your entire family every time it needs to be done, or do all of the dishes for your entire family every time it needs to be done? And you can't say neither. You got to make a choice. So laundry, dishes. All right, lock in your choice. And then I'm going to count to 5. All right, lock it in. Everyone's got their choice. All right, here we go. And 1, 2, 3. Let's see your jumping jacks and toe touches. 4 and 5. All right, freeze. Quiet. I saw lots of people doing different things. I'm not sure which one I would prefer. All right, second one. Ready? I still see some people moving, so we need to stop and listen and be ready for the next one. All right, the next one is, would you rather eat your favorite meal for every meal for the rest of your life? That one is for jumping jacks. Favorite meal, every meal for the rest of your life. Or never ever in your entire life eat your favorite meal again. Lock in your choice. And I will count to 5. Ready, set, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Freeze. Awesome. All right, and our very last one, because we aren't able to do a lot of traveling right now. And I've been thinking about places I want to go and things I want to do. So this one is coming from that. Would you rather, for jumping jacks, would you rather go on an African safari or dog sledding in the Arctic? All right, African safari, dog sledding in the Arctic. Lock in your choice. And here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and freeze. Awesome. Okay. Now remember our deal at the beginning. The deal was when we are done, you sit down and get ready to listen again. So have a seat, take a deep breath. And if you can hear me, put your hand on your ear to show me that you can hear me. And then put your hands together and on your lap. And I say, give me the oh so sweet, ready to keep going faces. It's like this. Let's see your oh so sweet, ready to keep going. Awesome. So we are going to take a few minutes now and ask Linda some questions. So if you have questions, you can write them into the chat. There's lots of different things that we could ask her about. We could ask her about her book, about the writing process. We can ask her about why she wrote the actual book. So write your questions in the chat and I will ask Linda some questions. So Linda, are you ready for some questions?
Yes, sure. I'm ready for some questions. Ooh.
Awesome. So the first question that we have is wondering, why did you write this book? What inspired you to write this book on this topic?
Great. Well, thank you for asking that, because I think motivation, what makes us do what we want to do or what we end up doing, is an important question. For me, it started when I had little children. So right now my children are ages 8. Wave at me if you're 8, 6, and 4. But when they were little babies and I was holding them in my arms, I thought to myself, how precious are these children? Oh, I really do love them so much. And I began to feel also very heavy-hearted, to think, how could there ever be a little child that doesn't have what they need? And so I was going to bed one night and I thought about that and I'm like, oh dear, there's some children today that don't have what they need. There's so many children that don't have what they need. And I felt overwhelmed. But in my heart, I sensed this voice that said, don't worry, as long as there's one too many. But as long as one makes a difference, it begins to turn around. And I thought, that sounds like a good story. So I got out a notebook and I wrote down some ideas. And that's what motivated me, because I thought it was a powerful message to pass on, because the more people that make a difference and care for those around them, the better our world will become. So thanks.
That's a really good reason. Now we've had a few questions from different people that are asking, what does one too many really mean? Why did you choose this to be the title of your book?
Yeah, thank you for thinking about that. So one too many means as long as there's one of something, it would be too many. And the best way I have to think about this is if you were going camping and you were to imagine, say, a mosquitoes being in your tent. So make a connection if you've ever thought about going camping and having mosquitoes in your tent. Now, if there were 100 mosquitoes in there, you'd say, there's 100 mosquitoes in here. They're going to eat me alive. And then you go, okay, we'll get rid of a whole bunch of the mosquitoes. Smack, smack, shoo, 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 get them out of your tent. But then you only have 10 left and you say, well, that's better. But you'd say, actually, 10 is still too many. And then you keep on trying to get rid of the mosquitoes until there's 5, and then there's 4, and then there's 3, and then there's 2, and then there's 1, because every time you close your eyes, you hear this buzz, buzz, and you like, if that one mosquito is still in here, it's going to bite me and give me itchy ouchies all night. So even one mosquito is too many. So you get rid of that final mosquito, and the only acceptable number of mosquitoes in your tent is 0. No more than that. And I feel similarly about human rights. When people don't have the human rights that they need, you might say, well, there's thousands of people that don't have that. Well, that's definitely too many. But what if there was even just one more person that didn't have the rights to food and shelter, clothing and healthcare, like we talked about? Well, we'd say even one is too many. So that's why I used the phrase for the book, one too many. And I repeat it like a poem so that it sticks in our minds that even one is too many.
Very true, because one mosquito is definitely too many. And that's a really good way to make the connection and think about how one can be too many. But then also that one person can make a difference is another thing when you think about the mosquito, is that the mosquito is really little, and you wouldn't think that one little mosquito can make that big of a difference in someone's lives. And sometimes we can feel like that little mosquito that doesn't make any difference and can't do it. But one mosquito can make a big difference. Mosquitoes love me. If there's a mosquito in a room and there's like 10 people in a room, they're going to bite me. They're not going to bite other people because I am just that delicious. So another question that we have is, can you tell us tell us about a time where someone helped you, where you were at the receiving end of someone's kindness?
Oh, well, when I think about it, there's so many examples of that happening broadly. For example, there's workers today that made sure that I have power to my house, because on the weekend we lost power and people from BC Hydro worked really hard and to make sure our power came back on, or people who work on our water systems to make sure that they're maintained so that water comes to my tap. But when it comes to kindness directly to me, I think about the other day when I was teaching and I was with some little children, and I was eating my lunch, and it was a healthy lunch. And the child beside me had a snack, and it had a sweet bite in it. And she looked over at me and she said, "Mrs. Smith, would you like part of my candy?" And I know it's just a little thing, but she showed generosity to me. And she shared something that was important and valuable to her with me. And that made a difference for me. Now, of course, do I need candy? Is that a vital human need? No, but it was generosity. I think of another time of people who have shared clothing with me. They've said, "Hey, this jacket doesn't fit me anymore. Would you like this jacket?" And I'm like, "Oh, sure, I'd love that jacket." And so I think part of it is having our arms open to notice when people are offering us to receive those gifts with thankfulness and gratitude, but also thinking bigger, not just about one person helping another person, but the bigger picture that there's workers in our community, our mayors, our city councilors, our school board, our leaders that are making sure that we have what we need. And then those faithful people who repair the power lines and the water and the roads to make sure that we have the food, the water, and shelter that we need to be safe.
Yeah, that's a really good point, is that in order for us to just be sitting where we are today and doing what we are doing, a lot of people were part of making that possible. And it's kind of neat to think about how many different people are involved in helping us do the things that we do every single day. So in the resource package for this event, there is a lesson plan and an activity where you can write a story about kindness that you have seen. So kindness that you have received from other people, or that you've seen people helping others. And we would love it if you would do that activity and then send it to us and send us your stories, because we would love to put together a book for Simbi of stories of kindness, of where you have seen helpers and kind people in the community doing that. So how many of you would love to write a short story that can be on Simbi so that other kids can read your stories of kindness? Isn't that super cool? So I encourage you to do that. Now, we have time for a few more questions before we wrap up today. And there's some questions about actually writing the book. So Miss Wall's class wanted to know, what was the hardest part about writing the book?
Yeah, the hardest part about writing the book is about just making sure that I choose the right words. I wanted it to sound I wanted it to sound like it had a nice flow. I wanted it to be easy to understand. So I wrote the words and I wrote them again and I wrote them again, and my husband helped me. And so those were big parts of it as well. Another thing was looking at illustrators. So trying to decide what kind of pictures to use. And here you can see that this is my Illustrator. And the picture started with a little bit more of a square design, and then she gave me some other ideas here down below, and we ended up using one of these options. Can you believe they're actually all different? So choosing an illustrator was sort of tricky too, because what the pictures are what children remember a lot of the time, and the style of the pictures from this artist, Emi Ohala from Europe, she did such a beautiful job of making the illustrations. So that was kind of tricky too, of making sure that we chose an illustrator or a person to draw the pictures that would show what the words were saying and have skill and design to make it all come together.
So now that you're showing me that picture, one of our other friends asked, why are there so many ducks in the book? Is there a reason why there's so many ducks on different pages, or did it just happen that way?
You know, that's so funny, is sometimes the illustrations just bring a whole new life of their own. And so that was just the illustrator. I guess it started with the rubber ducky that was on the head of the little girl in the bathroom who needed clothing. And then the illustrator, Emmy, she just liked to keep on adding those little animals and give them fun things to do, because we know kids love that sort of stuff, right? And then you can look to see what the duckies or the bears are up to as they swim with their goggles on, and they join in the fun, just like our stuffies do too.
That's awesome. So one last question before we wrap up for the day is, what advice would you give to our friends when on how they can make a difference, or what advice would you give for us?
Well, there's always so much advice to give. I mean, I would say keep a soft heart. When you look at someone who needs your help, instead of turning away and thinking, oh, I can't make a difference, or I don't really care, or what has anyone done for me? Or there's all sorts of reasons that we have for not acting in love and care for those around us. But just keep a soft heart and an imagination for saying, is there anything I could do to make a difference here? And to draw up the strength to make a little offering of kind words, of sharing what belongs to you, to give it to someone else. Just to continue have our eyes open to what other people need, not only thinking of ourselves. And then when we see that, to keep a soft heart to act, even in a small way. And then what happens actually is our heart continues to get softer and softer as we do so.
Awesome. That is excellent advice. Thank you so much, Linda. And thank you for sharing your story with us and your heart for caring for the children and people around the world as well. So before we wrap up, I just want to make sure that you all have had a chance to check out the virtual classroom. I'm putting the link in here. So this is where kids can go on and read some more books on SIMBI. I put the link in the chat. More books on SIMBI about kindness and making a difference, as well as there's a few videos here about children's rights and things like that. So you can learn a bit more on what the rights of children are and what the differences between wants and needs and that sort of thing. But the really coolest thing is that you are able to go on to SIMBI and you can listen to Linda read her book, or Linda's husband read a book right here. And you can remember that you can record your own voice reading these for kids around the world that don't have access to a ton of books to read and learn how to read that way as well. So that's super cool. And I hope that you will check it out. And just one quick thing for teachers, in case you missed it, next Thursday, SIMBI is doing an event with Adrian Gear about the science of reading. So that's a live event after school, and we hope that some of you will join for that. So My friends, thank you so much for joining us today. And I hope that you are all well and that you all have a great weekend. And that over the next few days, that you look for the people who are helping other people, that you look for the helpers that are making a difference in the lives of people around them. And we would love to hear your stories and see your stories of kindness, of how people have been kind to you, or you've seen kindness around, or how you've been kind to others. Please share those with us. And we look forward to sharing those out with everyone as well. So Linda, thank you so much for being here with us today. Do you have any final words for us before we head out?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me and for your kind attention today. As I go, I just want to highlight as well that my husband and I make books together. And so on our website, pepperminttoast.com, you can see all sorts of fun books that we've created, and many of these titles are on Simbi. So I'm so glad that they can be found on Simbi, but they can also be found at our Peppermint Toast website. And we just love sharing stories with kids. So thanks for hearing mine today.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for joining us, and we hope to see you again soon. Thank you very much, everyone. We will see you around. Bye. Have a great day.